Time to go live and going live. And according to YouTube, I am live. Hello, watchers live. Hello, if you watch this on playback. And welcome to my 54th iWatch live stream on this channel. So basically, if you don't know what these live streams are, essentially once or twice or maybe even 3 times a week, I talk about current movie and TV topics going on in the movie and TV world right now. And at the same time though, I'll also be answering any live questions sent on this live stream. And also, if you have a topic you want me to talk about in my next live stream, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll probably talk about it in my next live stream or the live stream after that. And also, I should say a couple of things off the bat, like I usually do, some housekeeping items. First of all, I live next to a main road. Pardon me there. First of all, I live next to a main road, so you do hear like a loud car, truck, tractor, or whatnot going past at any point on his live stream. I do apologise if it is with the sound of the live stream. And also, even though I live in the countryside, sometimes it sounds like I'm next to a building site. Honestly, there's always people doing work, on the houses by me, so you might hear some drilling in the background. And again, I apologise if that does happen, if you do hear any sort of sound interference in the background. And also, it didn't happen in the last live stream, I don't think, actually, but it has happened on a couple of live streams in the past. So I'm just warning you now that if for any reason the stream cuts out, and by the way, you might have said a loud bus out there just then. But anyway, yes, if any reason the stream cuts out at any point on this live stream, I do apologise. That's out of my control. It's happened a couple of times over the past month or so, but hopefully it doesn't happen today, and hopefully the stream goes smoothly, and hopefully I'm not making a point and I'm not cut out, midway sentence. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But anyway, today I'm doing my weekly review of Boba Fett, or spoiler fashion, my weekly review of the Boba Fett episodes, the Boba Fett episodes, which I've enjoyed. I enjoyed episode 1 and 2 so far. It's only been 1 and 2 the 2 weeks before this. I've enjoyed episode 1 quite a lot. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did. I got to admit, I thought it was really good Star Wars. And then I enjoyed episode 2 as well. I enjoyed episode 2, although I didn't love episode 2. I wanted to, and I didn't love episode 2. So I was excited to see episode 3 though. And I should point out again here, in case you haven't read the title, that this will be a spoiler review. And I actually should get the card up now. There you go. This will be a spoiler review. I'm going to get into some big spoiler details, and if you haven't seen, the third episode of if you haven't seen the third episode of the book of Boba Fett yet, I am warning you. A couple of big things did happen. So spoiler warning in case you haven't read the title of this live stream, because I will be getting into some big things and some big twists that happened in this episode. But anyway, episode 3, in my opinion, is the best one yet. I really, really like this episode of Book of Boba Fett, and I've seen some people online, on Twitter, say that this is their least favourite episode. I honestly don't understand what people want from Star Wars anymore. Like, people love The Mandalorian for the most part, the majority of people love both seasons of The Mandalorian, me included, and then they come into this show, and they want something, exactly the same as Mandalorian. But where's the fun in that? You want Star Wars to be different. You don't want Star Wars to be the exact same, in every single iteration they do. And I get, a lot of people love Mandalorian, that's fine. I love Mandalorian as well, but you want this to be different. And I think what this show continues to do so well, and has done so well in its previous episodes, and does so well in this episode that was released today, is that it still managed to be its own thing whilst also feel connected to Mandalorian, because Boba Fett was probably reintroduced in Mandalorian Season 2, and then in this show it feels very much like its own show, but also like it's connected. Mandalorian could show up at any moment and it wouldn't feel disconnected, is what I'm trying to say. And I really like that about it. I think that's one thing, the showrunners have done so effortlessly, I can't pronounce my words again today, but I think that's one thing the showrunners have done so well. And on the surface, that might sound like a simple thing, just making the show feel like its own thing. But in the end, if it's a spin-off of a spin-off of a spin-off, it can feel too much like the thing it's spinning off from. But actually, I don't think the Book of Boba Fett does. And I think one thing it does remarkably well is be its own thing still. And again, that sounds like a small thing on the surface, but it's actually quite a big thing. But actually, I haven't actually said anything yet, but look, I'm wearing my Star Wars t-shirt, because I haven't actually admitted this yet, but I've seen this episode twice. I've already seen this episode twice today, and I liked it that much. Honestly, I only finished watching it about 10 minutes ago, actually. I liked it that much the first time I watched it. I want to go back and rewatch it, because in the end, a lot of people are criticising Boba Fett for like its small nitpick plot holes. But the thing is, though, I can do exactly the same with every single Marvel series. And I think that Star Wars knows it has its plot holes. In fact, I love the fact that Star Wars is, you know, there's so many plot holes in Star Wars in general, regardless of which films you look at, regardless of the original trilogy, the prequels, the sequels, regardless of which films you look at, there's countless plot holes in all three of those trilogies. But the thing is, though, pardon me again there, I had a drink of water before I did this review. But anyway, the thing is, though, the plot holes are kind of what makes it so fantastic in my opinion, because you kind of sit there and go, well, that doesn't fully make sense, but I don't care, because it's Star Wars. In the end, Star Wars are meant to be escapists, and so all the people are, finding small nitpicks in these episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, or Mandalorian for that matter, because I remember it happening a bit with Mandalorian, are the same people who, expect, every episode of a TV show and every film nowadays to be a masterpiece. And I think, I'm going to go on a bit of a rant about this. I think that there's this myth in film fandom nowadays that everything has to be perfect and everything has to be amazing. And if you're a Star Wars fan, everything has to be good as the original trilogy. It has to be good as A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi. That's the myth in film fandom nowadays. And it's a bad myth. Those films already exist. We don't need things which are as good as those films. I love, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. I love those films. I do. But we don't need films, or we don't need episodes of TV shows to be as good as them. And in the end, I think that's people's big problem with the sequel. Just going to adjust my camera angle a bit there. Yeah, I think that's people's problems with the sequel trilogy quite a lot. Is that they were comparing it too much to the original trilogy. And I think what people are doing in the Book of Boba Fett is they're comparing it to their pardon me again there. They're comparing it to what they want Star Wars to be. Yet in the end, it's its own thing. It doesn't need to be as good as the thing it's spin off from. It doesn't need to be as good as Mandalorian. It can be something different, and that's what I like about Boba Fett. I'm gonna just my camera again a bit there. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is there's this common myth in film fandom nowadays that everything has to be perfect and has to tick all the boxes, and if it doesn't, then it's rubbish. No, that's not how TV works. Not how film works. In the end, no film is perfect. No film is perfect, and no TV show is perfect. And I think the Book of Boba Fett is an example of that. It's got its problems, but so did Mandalorian, and so did every single Marvel Disney Plus show. And if you don't believe me, go back and rewatch them. There's problems in WandaVision, there's problems in Loki, there's problems in Falcon and Winter Soldier, there's problems in Hawkeye as well. There's countless problems in Hawkeye. But then I don't see people complaining too much about them. But then with Star Wars, because it's Star Wars, they all go, well, it's got loads of problems, and they all look at it in a pessimistic fashion. When in the end, they should look at it, oh my god, this is Star Wars. Let's just enjoy it for what it is. And that's why I've always looked at Star Wars. I've always wanted to love a Star Wars film rather than dislike it. I mean, the only Star Wars film I really, really don't get along with is Solo. I'm not the biggest on Attack of the Clones either, but I can watch Attack of the Clones. I can watch the last half an hour of Attack of the Clones and really enjoy it still. But with Solo, there's about a couple of sequences which I like in that film, but ultimately it doesn't work for me. But, in the end, I went to go and watch Solo in, May 2018, May 2018, and I really wanted to love that movie, and I didn't. That was a bit of a shame, but in the end, every other Star Wars movie since, whether it's, Rogue One, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker, I've gone into cinema once to like those films, and I have ended up loving those movies. And, bit of a controversial opinion there, but I love The Last Jedi and I love The Rise of Skywalker. I don't care what everyone says, I adore those movies. And you know what? I adore the third episode of the Book of Boba Fett. Managed to link it to what I'm talking about, because we went on a bit of a rant there, which wasn't really about this episode. But yes, I love this episode. I do, because it felt like Star Wars, and it was fun, and it was exciting, and it's got its problems, and I do think the direction is still a bit stiff, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I also think that it feels fun. And that's what I like about, that's what my favourite Star Wars is. Fun Star Wars and energetic Star Wars and things like that. My favourite Star Wars movie is Empire Strikes Back. But I also adore Return of the Jedi because of just how fun it is. Return of the Jedi is like my comfort movie because I stick it on and I'm swept along with the Ewoks and they're trying to blow up the second Death Star. It's all a bit naff on paper, but actually its execution is so fun, which is why I love Return of the Jedi. But anyway, going back onto the Book of Boba Fett. I watched the second episode and I was building a bit of Lego. at the same time because I got a couple of Lego sets for Christmas, and I'm a bit of a Lego fan. I'm not gonna shy away from that. Just gonna see if there's any Lego around me. Yeah, go on. I'll show you this. Yeah. So look, there you go. There's my snow. What's it called? Snow speeder. Yeah, the snow speeder from Empire there in Lego. So yeah, I've got loads of Lego sets around me as well. Don't know if you can tell in the back. Actually, if you can see in the back. There behind me, they've got a big Lego Yoda and a Lego Boba Fett helmet. So there you go, you're linked to Boba Fett again there. But anyway, yeah. I was actually building a bit of Lego whilst I was watching this episode for the second time, sorry. And I was into the dialogue a bit more. I don't think the show is really well written. I don't think the dialogue is really that well thought through. I get Jon Favreau wrote it, and Jon Favreau has done some, fantastic things in the past. He created Mandalorian. He wrote and directed Iron Man. I don't know if he wrote actually, but he directed Iron Man. I quite like the first Iron Man film. He also directed Chef. Anyone haven't seen that film? It's a wonderful movie in my opinion. And he also did the Jungle Book remake, and he's done some really good films as well. He's also done some Pants films. He did the Lion King remake, which I did not get along with whatsoever. And also, he directed Iron Man 2. Directed the first Iron Man, that was great. Directed Iron Man 2, not so good though. And I honestly think this is kind of like, although I think it's miles better than Iron Man 2, but I kind of think the Book of Boba Fett so far is kind of like the Iron Man 2 for Jon Favreau. I think Mandalorian is kind of like Iron Man for Jon Favreau because he did so well and everyone loves it. And then Iron Man 2 is a much more divisive film. Personally, I love it, but, I'm not going to say I understand why people don't, but at the same time, though, clearly this show is proven to be more divisive than Mandalorian. And that's not surprising me, but it is at the same time. But still, I don't think the dialogue in the show is, particularly sharp and fantastic. But, pardon me there again, what was I going to say? But I really like the way, the story is going. I like the fact that we're spending time and things aren't rushed. And, I might be eating my words later on in the series. Maybe we get to episode 6 and things are getting really rushed. We're not spending nearly as much time as we should be in certain situations. But at the moment, I like the amount of time we're spending in certain set pieces. In this episode in particular, and spoiler warning again here, if you forgot my little spoiler warning again here. Basically, when you see the Tusken Raiders die, it's a really fantastic moment in my opinion when he's burning them all because they spend time there. I can tell you now, and I'm going to compare it because it annoys me sometimes the way people love the Marvel Disney Plus shows and don't like Star Wars Disney Plus shows so much. But I can tell you now, if that was a TV show like WandaVision or Loki, they would not be spending nearly enough time doing that. I understand that the Tusken Raiders storyline may not be, may not suit some people, but for me, I like the fact that they did that. And also, I found it interesting that they killed off the Tusken Raiders that he'd been, training with for the past 2 episodes. Because I actually think those Tusken Raiders were going to come back in the quote-unquote present day in the Star Wars universe with Boba Fett to come and help Boba fight off all the bad guys in Mos Espa, where the show's taking place. But that's not going to happen now, because if you see in episode 3, they all die. So it's like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And I still think the Tusken Raiders are going to come back. Maybe not those Tusken Raiders, but I don't think we're done with the Tusken Raiders in this show yet. I don't know how they'll come back, we'll have to go and wait and see. But I still don't think they're done with the Tusken Raiders yet. But I was surprised they cut off those Tusken Raiders, because I felt they were building up to be like great alliances to Boba Fett, but apparently not. And I think that's quite an interesting twist, actually. It's quite a daring twist, because I don't know where they're going to take that now. And I'm excited. I like that sort of storytelling. That sort of storytelling where it almost tricks you. Well, it tricked me anyway. Where you think that, they're going to become great allies. Boba Fett and all these Tusken Raiders, this Tusken tribe, they're going to become great allies. Oh, no, wait, they're not. I really like that idea, actually. I think it was kind of like daring and misleading story narratives, which I think work really well. And also, I loved a lot of parts of this episode. I loved that we got to see more of the evil Wookiee. I loved that fight scene. I thought it was really well done, actually. And, this episode is directed by Robert Rodriguez, who's, quite a big action film director. He directed Sin City. And the funny thing was, the first episode of the show was directed by Robert Rodriguez. And I actually think the first episode of Book of Boba Fett has one of the worst action sequences in Star Wars history, period. If you've seen the episode, you'll know what I mean. There's like one action sequence where all the people come up to him, the orangey red shield, and they're all trying to fight Boba Fett, trying to kill him, and it's so badly directed, and it's so stiff, and it's just so like, what is this? But then, you get onto this episode, and it's like, it's a different director. It's like Robert Rodriguez went away for 2 years and then came back and he was a better director. He directed this episode. I think the action in this episode is more fluid and is more fun. I still think it isn't quite expressive as the train fight sequence in the second episode, but I still like this. I still like the whole Wookiee fight scene quite a bit here. I thought that was really good, and I feel like they didn't, spend ages getting up to that, because I didn't actually think in the second episode where the evil Wookiee was introduced, I thought they were going to spend ages and just build up for like 3 episodes to see how bad this Wookiee can be. No, they spend, when you think about it, if you watch episodes 2 and 3 together, they build up for 10 minutes and then the Wookiee's bad and he's going to kill all these people and things like that, and he's going to whip Boba Fett's arms. Well, he's crushing his back at one point. I thought it was really cool. I know a lot of people have gone, oh, why the Wookiee is meant to, whip people's arms and things like that, and I just mentioned that I thought it was going to, but in the end, bear in mind, Star Wars is for family audiences as well, and that's not going to happen. If you want to see a much darker Star Wars series, there's probably something out there which you can read or something like that. There's probably like Star Wars comics which are much darker. This is a Star Wars Disney Plus show in the end. The Wookiee was not going to rip Boba Fett's arms off. That would be too graphic, and also, it's not that sort of show. It's like, that wouldn't happen. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't understand that criticism. I read a review before I did this review today, before I did this live stream today, and I read someone say, well, when the Wookiee picks up Boba Fett, why do you rip his arms off? I was like, it's not that sort of show. It's not that sort of show. It's like saying, why doesn't, why don't the aliens and Eternals just kill all the other ones in a very violent way? Why don't they kill the Eternals in very violent ways? Because it's not that sort of movie. Although saying that there were Eternals has a sex scene, so maybe Eternals wasn't the best example there. But anyway, yes, I'm comparing to Marvel today because I don't like the fact that Marvel fans love the Marvel TV shows and then get angry about this one because it does the exact same things that the Marvel Disney Plus shows do. I'm sorry, but it does. But anyway, yes, going back onto Boba Fett. Man alive, it's been a day and a half today. But anyway, going back onto Book of Boba Fett. I also love the fact that we got to the Rancor as well. There's a new Rancor in there. I like the fact that it's a new one, it's different. And I like the fact that apparently you can ride them as well. That sounds quite cool in my opinion. I'm really excited to see where that goes. And you're not sure if the Rancor's, completely good or bad yet. I think it's going to be good. But I'm really excited to see what they do with the Rancor. Pardon me again there. I'm really excited to see what they do with the Rancor. I think that could be really interesting. And also, by the way, I should point out here that the CGI and the costume design and set pieces and the monsters all look fantastic. Honestly, this is a TV show in the end. It's not a full-length feature movie. So the fact that the CGI is so good is saying something because, like I said before, it's a TV show. And I felt the same with most of the Disney Plus shows I've seen, like Mandalorian and the Marvel ones as well. But the CGI has been great. Actually, it wasn't so good in Hawkeye, in my opinion. But in this show, the CGI is fantastic. And it looks absolutely it looks incredible. It looks like, I can believe this in a in a full-length feature movie now because of how good the CGI and the set pieces are. And I just think the aesthetic is so good. And, on the surface, that sounds like quite a small thing, making aesthetic look fantastic. But actually, it's such a big thing. It really is. And it's so difficult to do. But I think, Book of Boba Fett does that effortlessly. I can't even pronounce that word today. It does that seamlessly. Let's say it like that. It does it seamlessly. And I think it's got some really good aesthetic in there. I think the CGI is fantastic. And I think the costume design works really well as well. Let's talk about the teenagers that were introduced. This new, what they call, I don't know what they're called, the ones that were riding the motorbikes. Not the biggest fan of the characters yet. Bear in mind we don't know much about them, but one of them does look like a rip-off of the Cyborg character from DC, and I don't know the Cyborg character really, but just when you look at him, he's literally got the eye thing, like the metal eye, which looks exactly like Cyborg, so he looks a bit of a rip-off of Cyborg, and maybe these characters are in the Star Wars comics. Maybe they were introduced in like the Star Wars books. I haven't read a Star Wars book in my life. In my opinion, Star Wars is just the film and the TV shows, and maybe not even that. I only really like the live-action Star Wars stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of animated Star Wars. I have checked out Clone Wars, and it wasn't for me. Maybe I'll go back and check it out again in the near distant future when I have more time. But I have checked out the first season of Clone Wars as well as the movie, and it really didn't work for me. But in my opinion, Star Wars is just a live-action stuff, and so for me personally, this is the first time I'm getting introduced to all these like teenage characters which all have the motorbikes and multicolored motorbikes. And I'm not interested in them yet, but I can imagine me getting interested in later on in the series. But I did actually like the bike chase through Mos Espa. I thought that worked well, and I've seen people criticize that, but I enjoyed it. I really did. I mean, I don't think it was a brilliant action sequence. I've seen better action sequences in Star Wars beforehand, but I think it was a fun action sequence. I think it had a lot of energy there, and I think it worked well because then you get to see like how they are with their bikes, this group of people and things like that. And again, I thought the CGI looked great. Bear in mind, it's a TV show. It's a TV show which won't have the same budget as a film. And so the fact that the CGI is looking fantastic and the action sequences work well, in my opinion, is a strong plus. And I like the action in this episode. It's not top tier action in Star Wars. It's not some of the best action sequences I've seen in Star Wars period, but it's fun. It's fun, it's energetic, and I think the action flowed better here. It was more fluid than it was in the first episode. And the reason I compare it to the first episode, by the way, is because it's directed by the same person. Robert Rodriguez directed the first episode of the show, and the third episode, the one I'm reviewing right now. So that's why I'm comparing them. What other things have I got down? I made some notes earlier today before I did this live stream. What other things have I got down? I love the way the episode started. I thought that was really cool. It felt very Star Wars and things like that. When that guy came in and was complaining, I thought that was really cool because it felt very Star Wars. And it felt similar. It felt weird, but in a good way. I was watching that at the opening, I was like, oh, this is how you're opening the third episode. Is this relevant to the grand story of the show? Because bear in mind, this is only a limited show. This is not going to be like a multiple season show like as far as I'm aware, unless they change their minds, which is a chance. Maybe the showrunners will change their mind. But as far as I'm aware, this Boba Fett is only going to last like one season. So I liked the way it started because it was not what I expected. I expected there to be like a high-speed chase in the opening scene of this episode. Don't know why I expected that, but that's what I expected. And actually, it wasn't that. And I thought it was kind of cool. The fact that it was just kind of like realistic for this show. I like the way the show opened quite a lot. I also like the twist with the hut with. By the way, I don't know if you can hear like a loud noise outside. I think there's some car reversing. But anyway, yes, going back onto the Boba Fett. Basically, I love the twist with the Hutts as well, because you see Jabba the Hutt's cousins, and they're basically saying, oh no wait, we're not the bad guys, the mayor is. And guess what? I predicted, with my review of the first episode of Boba Fett, I predicted that the mayor would be the bad guy, because we were building up the conflict between the mayor and Boba Fett, they're building up the conflict between the mayor and the character of Boba Fett in the first episode. Like a line where that guy came in, the one who is always speaking for the mayor, that we keep seeing, the one who's driving the speeder in this episode, that kind of annoying was like, well, the mayor, I can't see you today, but don't worry, I can give a message on to him. That guy keeps saying stuff like that in the show. And there was like a line where he said, oh, the mayor can't be bothered to see you, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but there was a line like that in the first episode of the show, and I knew it was building up the conflict. And now the mayor's back. Well, the mayor's not back actually, but the mayor was in the second episode, and he's the main bad guy, or at least he's one of the big main bad guys, which I predicted in the first, in my review of the first episode of the Book World Fair. I predicted that in my review of the first episode. So there you go. There, super happy with myself. There, I got a prediction right for once. Yes, I knew the mayor was going to be the bad guy. And the Hutt's twist, I liked. I like the fact that the Hutts just showed up in the show. I like the fact that Jabba the Hutt's cousins just showed up and they weren't relevant. Because that would happen in Star Wars. That's what Star Wars is all about. And it wasn't fan servicey because it was different characters. It wasn't fan service. But because you know what? If the Hutts weren't in the show, I'd probably feel the exact same way. But I just love the fact that they did show up. The same way, I'm not explaining myself brilliantly there. But I love the fact that the Hutts weren't in the show. I love the fact that the Hutts were in the show, sorry. I love the fact that the Hutts were in the show. But I also wouldn't be bothered if they weren't. But I love the fact that they were. Because, again, it's a misleading narrative, like I said before. It's a misleading narrative. You think one thing, and then half an hour later, if you watch all these episodes together, you think a complete different thing. And I love that. Criticism, my biggest one is that the episode's too short. It's half an hour, technically, because I know it says 39 minutes when you go to come play it on Disney Plus, but bear in mind, like 7 minutes of that is credits, because I don't know why, but these Disney Plus shows have like 6 to 7 minutes worth of credits on them, which I think is a bit ridiculous, but nevertheless, I think this episode in particular is short, and I don't think it should be. I want each episode now to be like an hour. That's what I want. Because there's only 4 episodes left. It's only a 7-episode show. So there's only 4 episodes left. And I really want the next couple episodes to be hour long. I want them to be full of exciting twists and really moving forward now, but still, pacing wise, exact same as the episodes have been so far. That's what I want. But I just felt this episode, for me personally, was a bit short. And also, by the way, these new teenagers that we meet, only nitpick here, but we meet them at the start of the episode before the title comes on. Before I get the Book of Boba Fett title that comes on the screen, we meet them at the start of the episode, and apparently they don't have any wages and they're poor, but they can still afford these motorbike hoverboard things that they ride, and they're all multicolored and things like that. They all look like they've properly been accessorized, and it's like, okay, so you're poor, you don't have any money, but you can do all that. Doesn't really add up. Unless, though, I might be taking that criticism back, unless in a future episode we find out that actually they're not poor and they've been working with someone. That could happen in a future episode, and I wouldn't be surprised, actually. Well, I would be surprised, but I wouldn't. I'd also be happily surprised, because actually it might just solve a little plot hole there. Anything else? Not a criticism in this one, but just a little interesting fact, actually. Early on in the episode, you see a flashback with a young Boba Fett as he sees Slave One going away on Kamino, which is the big rain planet. It's in Attack of the Clones, where you first meet Jango Fett. You see the flashback early on the episode, and actually that flashback, by the way, I found out online the other week, over the last week, actually, because we only get these Boba Fett episodes, once a week, but yeah, I found out over the last week that apparently that flashback is a deleted scene from Attack of the Clones. There you go there, a little interesting fact, little known fact, but anyway, yes, let's see if I put anything else down, just see if I put anything. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I want to mention. Another criticism is the bad guys. These other bad guys that we saw on the train in the second episode, that we saw, Boba meet with in the quote-unquote past, in when we see in the flashbacks, which he goes and meet with in this episode, and they say they're not going to give him any money, and then the same bad guys we see coming off the ship at the end of this episode. I'm not threatened by them yet. I don't find them bad guys in any way. That's really bad English. But yeah, I just don't think they are interesting villains yet. Pardon me there, but I just don't think they're interesting villains yet. Because, yes, they might have been in Clone Wars. I haven't seen Clone Wars, though. And I think shows like this need to accustom themselves, need to present themselves for potentially an audience who hasn't seen Clone Wars. So I'm hoping we get to see more of those villains going forward. I know we will get to, but I want to learn more about them, because so far what they call the Pikes or something like that, I want to know more about them going forward. I want to feel like they're threatening. I want to feel like they could actually do some harm to Boba Fett. And so far, I'm not feeling that. They showed up, they got defeated quite easily on the train in episode 2. And then they just keep popping up at the moment throughout the show, and I'm just not feeling threatened by them yet. I might be completely taking back my words, in episode 4. Hopefully I will be. Hopefully we get to see how ruthless these villains are and how they could actually take down Boba Fett. But for now, I'm just gonna hold out hope. And also, by the way, I think that we're not seeing the full extent of Boba Fett yet. And this isn't a criticism, because I think we will. I think in the near distant future, in one of these future episodes, I think we're going to see Boba Fett at his worst, and I think he's going to kill a bunch of characters, creatures, people, whatever is in front of him in that moment. I just think he's going to go wild. I think, like in, Season 2, Episode 6 of Mandalorian, where we see Boba Fett get his full armor back on, he knocks out all the Stormtroopers, one of the best sequences, one of the best piece of action in Star Wars history, in my opinion. I reckon something like that's going to happen in Boba Fett going forward. I generally reckon we haven't seen the full extent of Boba Fett just yet, and I'm really excited to see when that happens. And also, I think there's something we don't know about Fennec yet. The female that is always around Boba Fett, the one that's working for him. I reckon there's something about her we don't know yet, because we haven't had a lot of her in this show, and she's on the main poster. Look, you look on the poster right next to me right now. She's on the poster. She's not Boba Fett, obviously, but she's on the poster, and also she's on. She's been on all the marketing for the show. So I would be surprised if there's nothing about her going forward in the show. I think we're going to find out a twist with her. Maybe she betrays Boba Fett. Maybe she dies. I don't know. I don't think she's going to die because I don't think the show's narrative's going that way. But I might be wrong. But I just don't. I just think if she dies, it won't be that impactful because I don't think the show's written her character that way. But saying that though, I do think there's something that's going to happen with Fennec because we haven't had much about her yet, and I think maybe next episode or the episode after there's going to be a twist with Fennec that we don't see coming, and I'm excited to see what that twist is. I think that's going to be really cool going forward into one of the new episodes of Boba Fett. And also, one of my last predictions of this episode is that I don't think we're done with the Wookiees. I do not think that we've seen the last of the evil Wookiee. I forgot the name, it's now like Croissant Star. Well, I'm not going to try and pronounce the name again. But yes, the evil Wookiee that we see, I don't think we've seen the last of him. I know he runs away at one point, and I don't think we've seen the last of him, though. I actually won't be surprised if he comes back, or more Wookiees come back. But, like, I wouldn't be surprised if like, another Wookiee came back with more Wookiees, what I'm trying to say. I wouldn't be surprised if we got more Wookiees towards the end of the show, because, like I said before, a rumour came out a while ago. I say a while ago, it's like a year ago now, that Wookiees were going to be in Mandalorian Season 3. I thought that was a bit early for Mandalorian Season 3, because Mandalorian Season 3 has only just started shooting. I'm pretty sure it's actually paused shooting now, because they had a couple of COVID tests on there, and they came back positive, so that's a bit unfortunate that Mandalorian Season 3 is shooting, and now it's been paused, but nevertheless, that's neither here or there. Maybe it's going to start in a future live stream. But actually, yeah, I was reading that rumor a while ago and thinking, Mandalorian Season 3, they've only just started writing that, so the only person Jon Favreau might have told was his wife, and so unless his wife told a bunch of other people that Wookiee's going to be in Mandalorian Season 3, I doubt that rumor was, correct, because it came out so long before Mandalorian Season 3 even started production, but it didn't come out long before Boba Fett started production, so I wouldn't be surprised if before Boba Fett started production, they were doing all the costume design for the show, and they had loads of Wookiee costumes or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like that, and we see Wookiees in the show. Honestly, I really want that to happen. I love the Wookiees. I love them in Revenge of the Sith. I love Chewbacca, and so I would love that to happen. I really would. But anyway, that's kind of my big prediction so far. I think the Wookiee's gonna come back. I don't think we've seen the last of them yet. I think the Wookiee fight sequence in this episode was a tease at what we got to come with the Wookiees. I honestly do. I think it was a tease, and I also think we're going to get some big surprises going forward. I think Mandalorian's going to show up. I think the Mandalorian's going to show up. I also think we might get another cameo as well. Apparently those cameos in this episode, I must have missed them if they were, because I didn't know any big cameos, unless you mean all the teenagers, unless they were big characters in the Star Wars comics, but obviously I haven't read them, but still, yeah, I reckon we got some big cameos coming. I'm not saying Kara, Amelia Clark's character from Solo, I'm not saying Kara, I'm also not saying Lando, and I'm also not saying Han, although there's a big rumor that Han's going to be in the last episode. I'm still not going to say those characters are definitely coming in, but I still think we have a cameo coming that we don't know about, that no one knows about, and I think that's why I'm excited to see what's going to come. Also, I'm excited where the story's going to go, because I think this episode, last episode I was thinking, okay, the story's going to head in one direction. This episode's completely changed my opinion on that. I don't know where the story's going now, and I'm very excited to see episode 4 and see where it goes. And also, by the way, some people said this episode's set up for future events. That's the point of a TV show. Not every episode is going to be self-contained. I'd love it if that was the case, but, watch any TV show and not every episode is self-contained. So that's fine in my opinion. Loads of WandaVision was set up for the finale. Unfortunately, the finale of WandaVision was crap in my opinion. But yes, this episode, sure, it was set up for future events in the Book of Boba Fett and see where the series is going to go. That's fine in my opinion. Not every episode needs to be self-contained, and you know what? I kind of like the fact that it was set up, because I think it's set up some really exciting events going forward in this series of the Book of Boba Fett. So yes, it's my favourite episode, yeah, I can't speak there, so yes, it's my favourite episode, yeah. And I'm excited to see where the series goes, and hopefully you enjoyed it as much as me. But if you didn't, please let me know why in the comment section below. But if you did enjoy as well, also let me know why, and let me know your predictions if you're watching this live or if you're watching this playback, because I'd love to see what you think will happen going forward in this show. But anyway, guys, yes, that is the end of this live stream for today. I've gone on for 33 minutes, probably not 43 minutes. 33 minutes rambling on about the Book of Boba Fett so far, but tomorrow tomorrow I'm going to do even more rambling on this channel, where I'm talking about my top 10 films of 2021. I know it's a bit late. I know tomorrow will be the 30th of January, so I'm doing that quite late, about 13 days too late, about almost 2 weeks too late there. But you know, better late than never. So I'm going to be tomorrow, kind of speaking moment, tomorrow I'm going to be doing my top 10 films of 2021, probably in the morning, so look out for that. And also, over the next week or so, I'm going to do my Spider-Man ranking, which I still haven't done. Don't worry, I will get round to that. And also, I will be talking about my 5 most anticipated films going into this year, which haven't come out yet, which I will be talking about probably sometime next week on the channel. I can't wait a bit on that, because I think people's most anticipated films, my most anticipated films for the rest of this year, are still yet to come out, because I don't think anything is really big going to come out till March, and I think kind of my list of my most anticipated films exemplifies that. So yes, I will be doing my most anticipated films sometime next week, and also another live stream for the Boba Fett episode 4, so look forward to all that. And as well, I got my review of Belfast, which I'll be uploading on Friday, which I saw last night. Interesting viewpoint on that, so look forward to my review of Belfast. And also, if you haven't, please go check out my review of Around the World in 80 Days. Something well to edit that video, so please do go and check out that review if you haven't already. But thank you as always for watching this live stream in particular, and as always watching all my videos. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and subscribe on this live stream. I look forward to many more both film and TV views and live streams coming very soon on this channel. And also, remember, if you have a topic you want me to talk about in my next live stream, please let me know in the comment section below. But until then, guys, thank you as always for watching. We'll see you guys again soon. Bye.